de Berg.
Oh yeah.
I just remember he injured one of his throwing fingers, and again, obviously technology's gotten a lot better. They essentially, it looked like they took like just a big piece of metal and jabbed it in his index finger. So he
Yikes.
had this like nail sticking out, and I don't think he could even really move that finger, but
Yee.
he was able to throw. And I could be wrong if they made the playoffs, but he played well in those moments, and just to have the toughness to play with like essentially a nail through one of your most important fingers on your throwing hand was pretty impressive. The other one I was going to give props to, even though he's not like well beloved, maybe Brian Greasy when he was with the Bears. He bounced around from the Bucks, Miami, and whatnot. But in 2007, which was a forgotten season for Chicago, but I just remember in a game where they were still kind of in playoff contention, they had to go the length of the field, 97 yards, and the helmet went out in terms of his radio. And he went to go down the field. They scored a touchdown. They won against the Eagles 19-16. I always loved it because Ron Turner's offense was so putrid that it just took him not being able to call the plays for the offense to finally like get warmed up and actually do something. So that's why I always will like Brian Greasy.
Ron Turner, there's a name we want to forget. But also you brought up, I think we've got a theme in this show, 2007, Brian Greasy. All right, I'm going to throw one at you guys. You're going to say, oh, why didn't I think of that? Josh McCown. He was on 13 NFL teams for a very long time. Do you remember most recently he was coaching high school, not as the head coach, like as an assistant coach? Who called him up? Do you remember? It said,
it was the Houston Texans.
Yeah, we need you. What are you doing Tuesday? Can you be here?
Oh, no, you're talking about, yeah. No, he was brought in as in the bubble. It was a COVID year, main COVID year. So like it was the Eagles, I believe. Yeah, it was the Eagles had him as like their, not with the team. But the other interesting thing about Josh McCown is for like 2 years, like you said, considering his coaching experience being relatively low, yeah. The Houston Texans, I believe it's Easterby, he has some weird relationship with Josh McCown where he's brought him in for head coaching interviews. It's like,
that's right.
How the hell is this happening?
What is happening? But and he made some pretty good money. He made millions of dollars as a backup, and really, much like Fitz, made a lot of money. Didn't get too dinged up, and had a heck of a career.
Yeah, I was just going to mention of the today backups. I'm going to go for Gardner Minshew, and he may be going to Dallas. You know, we were talking about that Philly-Dallas connection. So I like the Chew, man, because he, as a backup, is in the Fitz mode. He's a little crazier, but he goes for it. Anytime you see him in a game, that man is going to win. You know, he wants it. He wants it bad. You can tell. And he did well in Jacksonville. It's just that, when you got that sort of guy coming in from Clemson there, they had to get rid of him. But I think that if Minshew goes to Dallas, that's a good move for them because Dak has been a little bit injury prone the past couple of years.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick. I think Lugs nailed it. You are right. Gardner Minshew is definitely the spiritual successor of Ryan Fitzpatrick in terms of just flares of his personality and also just going for broke. It's what we want. I mean, we don't want again, credit to these guys for making money, but we don't want Charlie Whitehurst, where you're just sitting on the sidelines. His nickname was Clipboard Jesus, where he would hold the clipboard. And the funniest thing is when the quarterback, I believe for the Tennessee Titans, got injured, Charlie Whitehurst came in. It was so bad they had to sign someone like the next week just to play. It's like, why even have him as a backup then? I mean, he can't even play multiple games.
And I think we got to throw a little love to Nick Foles for winning a Super Bowl as a backup. He didn't start, how many games? 10 games that season? I don't think he started that many.
No, he did not.
Came alive and beat Brady in the Super Bowl. And there's some other ones who came out of nowhere and won some pretty big games, and that's always fun to see that.
Jeff Hostetler.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, with the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Won the Super Bowl. Okay, so let's talk about, do we have to? We might see Aaron Rodgers someday working at Walmart too. I just say that jokingly, but T-Dog, he had some breaking news this week. What was it?
He said he is going to retire as a Packer. which
wow.
I really enjoyed just because this was a man not too long ago who wanted to be traded during the draft week. Held him over a fire forever, signs a huge deal, and supposedly knew Devontae Adams was going out the door. So they're gonna have this guy, and I guess their best wide receiver currently on the team is Allen Lazard. I don't know. You can make a case for Sammy Watkins, who I still like, but has never lived up to what he should be, just mainly because of injury. And Christian Watson, I mean, he has the talent to be special. The rookie they got out of North Dakota State, but I don't know. I think it might take a while.
You know, we're less than 100 days to the kickoff of the NFL season. Do you think we'll see some big changes there, roster moves with the Packers to get somebody who can catch the ball, who's done it a few times, more than the guys they have?
Well, I've mentioned our boy. His name just went out of my mind.
Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham Jr. I've mentioned that would be a good move for them, I think. But going back to the question of Rodgers staying with the Pack, it's like it's 50-50 for me. It's one of those things because he doesn't need money. So it's all about ego and name Sports Center stuff. So as long as he can get his Sports Center stuff, he'll be happy. But other than that, I can see him at the end of the career, like a lot of them bailing, like Favre and any of the ones you want to mention. I can see, because Rodgers, he needs that eyes on him sort of thing. But this year he's going to earn his money, because that offensive line isn't what it once was, and neither's the defensive line. I mean, they're still good, but I don't think they're good enough to compete on the level that you have to be. They should make the playoffs just because of the division, but after that, I'm not sure.
See, I'll say this. I think the roster is pretty great all around, except for wide receiver. Which I know we give him a lot of grief. I think Aaron Rodgers is talented enough. He'll have it work. I mean, it'll probably not be their most pretty year offensively, but I think they have a lot of young talent on the defense. So maybe the defense rises up to do more than their fill than they've done. I mean, not that they've been bad, but I think they're going to be a big thrust of the team. I think Dillon and Jones, I think the running attack will be the main area of the offense. That's the craziest thing, is like Aaron Rodgers gets paid the most, and I think the running attack might be a bigger part of their success this year. Like, he's getting paid more to do less. I think might be the craziest part.
More for less. Okay, let's drop back. T-Dog, you had a question, looking over some pregame notes here for the podcast. If you wanted to own a team, what was your question?
If you wanted to own a team, what team would you buy, and what would be your master plan if you had any? Like, would you hire such and such to be like your GM? Would you hire such and such to be a coach? Would you have like a certain philosophy on how do you want your team to be built?
Lugs, take it away, man. I'm making notes.
Well, I guess I would buy New Orleans.
Okay.
And get ready, guys. For the short term, I would bring in Baker Mayfield, because you've got a great running attack. Taysom Hill can be your X factor, and with that offense, I think Baker Mayfield could fit that. And he just needs to mature a little bit. I think he has the requisite skills to be, if not a top 10, maybe at a pinch, a top 20 quarterback in NFL. But and the defense is there, so it's not all on him to just score points. All he needs to do is just stay to the plan and make it happen. Long term, you would want to look for that big name quarterback, I think. But I think Baker can work, and New Orleans has always been an interesting franchise, sort of out there, but always a contender.
Yeah. What about you, John?
Oh man, here's who I'm going with. Take your Jacksonville Jaguars, Jaguars, whatever they are. Move them to London, England. You know, the Queen just had her 70th anniversary, so she's going to be stepping out pretty soon. Let's move them there, and we're going to hire, are you ready, that Apple TV actor Ted Lasso as our coach. Let's make a show out of it, make it a series. I think London's hungry for a team. Fly over there. Let's have some home games. Really throw a wrinkle in the NFL scheduling every year. But why not? Let's see if that worked out.
Yeah, no.
You know that Boris Johnson loves to party. So
I heard that. Something about, COVID parties. He loves that kind of stuff. He's all about that. Or Boris. That's why he can't get a good haircut. He's got something going on. How about you, T-Dog? You got something, I think. I'm going to say the Bears. You're going to pick the Bears.
If I was going to pick the Bears, I would say I would still do this. I will say one guy I think that is very underrated because obviously Jerry Jones has to get the spotlight is in terms of my GM, because he's essentially a GM, but he isn't in name. But William McClay, I think he's been essentially the guy who's run their drafts. He's actually the personnel guy for Dallas. If you look since he took it over in 2014, if you look at their draft picks, they have been very good.
True.
At drafting teams.
Yep.
So I think he's very underrated. So I would snipe him because I don't think it would cost a whole lot. I would like to build mainly. I agree with Lugs. Obviously, hitting on the quarterback is very important, but that's harder to control because it's just hard to, to land on a Brady, to land on a Russell Wilson in the third round or some. Build through the offensive line. Build through defensive line. I get that sorted out right. That kind of like old Andy Reid with the Eagles. That's what they did is they always just loaded up with the big guys. And I would also, similar to I guess what Howie Roseman did, I would get an offensive coach just because of how the rules are situated. You probably want to put more money into your offensive side. And I think those are the main tenets that I'd build on. I'm sure there's other ones, but those would be structurally the big ones. Get William Clay, get an offensive-minded head coach, build through the lines. So,
all right, Lugs. Anything else from the Farm and Fleet hotline out your way in the beautiful hills of North Carolina?
I just wanted to say, starting Thursday, you will have competition PGA. And it's put the golf world in a tizzy that Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson are going with this Saudi Arabia-backed golf whatever organization. So I find that interesting. But it's all about money. Mickelson apparently is guaranteed, we think, like $20 million just to be a part of it. And Dustin Johnson probably close to the same. You also have Greg Norman, but most people don't know Greg Norman anymore. He hadn't been relevant for 20 years at least.
The Shark.
But I just thought the PGA has always been like the old NCAA. They had no oversight. The PGA still has no oversight. They're their own monolith, and I'm a little reluctant to cheer for the Saudi Arabia just because of their human rights abuses. But for those golfers, I mean, think about it. You're guaranteed $20 million no matter what. The love of the game is one thing, but you got to make some coin. So anyway, I was just going to mention that because I saw so many stories that, trying to figure out what and how all this is going to work.
How about you, T-Dog? Any last thoughts on this episode of Sports and Other Stuff?
I forget to recall it because I know we were off last week. Did we say anything about the retiring of Frank Gore?
No, I don't think we did. Did we?
No.
Did we, Lugs? Do you remember?
Actually, I think you did do a little tribute, but it doesn't hurt to have a double tribute to Mr. Gore.
Yeah, I love Frank Gore. I think I know he might have been an accumulator to some degree. I'm hoping if he ever gets in the Hall of Fame, I actually might go to Canton. Like he is that level of player.